Hello, everybody. Welcome to Everything in Moderation podcast. Today we are talking about the Freedom Convoy, and we're also not witnessing, but Sean is cooking chicken cutlets right now, so it's sort of a cooking show as well. So Freedom Convoy plus cooking.
What's good?
It's a good day. So where do we want to begin with this? It's been a funny, very memey type of protest. So
Well, maybe we could just start with like the start of it. So, just from my recollection, this all began in January. I think it was 12th or 19th. I forget the exact date. But Canada imposed restrictions on the borders for truckers, where in that you cannot go over to the U.S. border if you are unvaccinated, if you're a trucker. Like, so if you're delivering something, you can't do that. And that was followed up by America's new mandate that, even US truckers and Canadian truckers have to be fully vaccinated. So this is a straight up mandate, which we haven't seen yet from either governments, I don't think. Except for like in special cases, like in hospitals, for example, we've seen strict mandates for those institutions, but we haven't seen anything like this, which is definitely something that's warrants a response from people, especially when it comes to something like truckers moving supplies over to another area. It's not like they're going through the checkpoint and there's 1,000 people there and they're coughing on everybody. You know what I mean? It's just like one guy going through and then delivering his stuff. So then that turned into the Freedom Convoy, which was about, I think it was like 13 or 15 trucks when it first started out, like trailer trucks. And then that was followed by a ton of Canadian people in their regular trucks and such. And one thing I also want to note in this is that the population of the truckers that would be affected by this, 90% of which are vaccinated already, 10% are unvaccinated. Now that number keeps on changing throughout media whenever they cover it. Usually when it's on a conservative bias, they say 80. When it's not, it's the exact opposite. They'll go even shorter, but they'll go 5%. The real number is 10%. There's 10% of truckers that are unvaccinated. So from this Freedom Convoy, now it has turned into an occupation of Ottawa for 2 weeks now. And in that there is a bunch of people putting up bouncy houses and being a general nuisance to all the people of Ottawa, saying that they are now protesting the entire vaccine mandate within Canada, which is not a strict on mandate. It is a soft mandate there. So that meaning that they can do an opt for tests. Now, if I were to just say the big issue here is the cross-border thing, because that doesn't really make that much sense, right? In that why are you mandating truckers that go over a border in this way, right? Why are you mandating them to get vaccinated? It's not like they're going to a crowd of people. That's stupid policy. But then we look into what this has turned into, and it's not really about that anymore. It's moreover about Canada's entire mandate system, and in that it's a soft mandate. So, maybe we can discuss a little bit more about the events that are happening here.
let's also just talk about how the judge banned honking for 10 days, I believe it was. I sent that into Instagram. That's such an absurd headline, but like, yeah.
I wonder if that could that be enforced? Like how you?
I don't know. Like, what do you do? Like, if you're driving and like someone's about like they're cutting you off and you honk, automatically you're part of the Freedom Convoy and you will be arrested.
Oh boy. Well, all I know is that if someone were to come up to me, if I was in Canada right now, well, I'm not, but if someone were to say to me that I can't honk my horn, you know what I'd say? I say, go fuck yourself. Excuse my language, but this is what's true. You have to fight for your freedom, man. Look, I know I joined late, so I'm driving right now, so I want to say I'm not sure. I wasn't here for all of Danny's rant, but I do want to say that I'm pretty sure part of it was probably misinformation. But I do want to say this because we were talking in the group chat before about how he's comparing the Freedom Convoy to what's going on, well, with what happened in the Chop Zone 2 years ago. That is such a bad comparison because, first of all, the Chop Zone was created by the government and their mayor actually declared that it was going to be the Summer of Love Zone, whatever. Summer of Love. Wasn't the Summer of Love? It was a bunch of people created some riots, and people died in that zone. And the Freedom Convoy, people have created they want their freedom back. They don't want forced vaccinations. And this is not just obviously a Canada thing; it's a United States thing. Where it started in California and it's going to be end in Washington D.C. So for Danny to make a very stupid comparison like that, I would have to say that you don't know what you're talking about. And I'm sorry that I say that, but
And just real quick, just to respond, and I'll just respond to this one point. So for a zone to be an autonomous zone, Chaz was the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone. Autonomous means that it is self-governed. Therefore, a government establishing an autonomous zone is an extremely bad oxymoron. It doesn't even make any sense. So that's pretty much it. And I'll get into my comparisons later, why I think the two were similar in their nature. But let's get started on like the regular Freedom Convoy. So what do you guys think of that? The truckers passing through, going on and blocking up a whole bunch of the highway. How do you guys perceive that? And you think that was, a rational thing for all those truckers?
Well, I think they're totally allowed to be there. It's their right to protest, just like how it's their right to protest.
Like on the road? Like on the road?
But yeah, on the road. Yeah, obviously, if you're trying to compare this to a BLM 2 years ago, then you should probably give them the same standards. They protested all over on the streets and destroying property, but we haven't seen a single Freedom Convoy, or I'll also call them that because they're protesters for the Freedom Convoy. You haven't seen them destroying buildings or anything in particular.
So there is one thing of note here, and this is why I would love to respond to this one. So there was an arsonist suspect in Ottawa who tried to light a building on fire, and they're currently looking for him. But the reason why that is currently happening is because there's a lot of tension between the residents of Ottawa and these protesters, in that the protesters want to go yell and scream about, how they're getting their rights revoked, and they are not very kind to the people of Ottawa that are living there and having to deal with them, because they are kind of pissed off and yelling at them and be like, get the fuck out of here. Like, I don't, want to hear your beeping constantly. So there's definitely a lot of tension between them. And this has arisen into now people trying to start off fires. So, I want to say that this can't be compared at all, especially in that this is now could be considered an occupation, because now they've been here for 2 weeks in Ottawa. They've been just sitting there camping out. So that is where I would compare Chaz to this, in that they're occupying government property. So guess what? The local government has all the right to kick them the fuck out of there, because it's not theirs. I mean, they pay taxes on it. But if that were the case, then why we still have Chaz? It's just that you can't occupy a region of land for a protest for a long period of time, at least for 2 weeks or more. And that's where I'll draw those comparisons between the two.
Well, I definitely do not condone any violence or arsonists, and if what you're saying is true, Danny, and I believe you, then obviously they should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. But if they're not bothering anybody, why should we bother them? All they want is they don't want any forced vaccinations. That's all they want. There's a same fight going on all over the country. Obviously with what's going on in a lot of our countries, in the colleges and universities with the vaccine mandate. So it comes like there's been people who are walking out of high schools, and they say that we're not going to go here unless we're not going to go inside unless they wear a mask. We do not wear a mask. And the same thing goes with the colleges and universities, where students who don't want to get the booster, they're put in separate housing. They're told that they can't have campus Wi-Fi, and so these are actually real things that are going on. And we're in a very, very dark period that that needs to come to an end. There are a lot of our leaders are saying now that this virus is something that we just got to deal with. So you know what? Instead of just putting in more mandates, it's time to remove them.
Well, it is pretty funny how you see that a lot of the protesting has kind of gotten a little more serious lately, because this variant, the Omicron, has turned out to not be as deadly as the past two. So what's interesting about that is like they choose now to protest. I guess that could just be because they know that at this point it's less deadly, and they finally decided enough was enough at this point. I guess I'm pretty sure that's probably what it is. Between, depending on where you live, you would have had close to 2 years of restrictions by now. So that's, that'll get under some people's skin at some point. So
Just to say, my biggest problem here, and it's going to surprise Anthony, I'll tell you this much, is the fact that they mandated a vaccine, fully mandated, not a soft mandate. You have to get the vaccine if you're going to cross the border as a trucker. So why am I upset about this? Well, mostly because our truckers really in a situation where they're going to be spreading COVID, especially in this situation with Omicron not being a particularly dangerous virus. This is really a situation where you got to mandate it. You can't even soft mandate it. So I find that to be the dumbest part of this. Now, the second dumbest part of this whole thing is the protests. Now, why do I say that? Well, you see people with signs saying, "Let truckers pass through like America." Do you say, do they say that open the border up for truck convoy travel? Do you see that on these signs? No. What you do see is the general markers. Oh, we're living in a communist society. Oh my God. This is the end times. They're trying to control us. Government's trying to get us.
That's true.
This is my problem. This is just, it's like, yeah, literally 1984. like it's so theatrical that we're missing the broader point here. We're missing the important stuff, right? In that there is a stupid mandate going on the border right now. It's dumb, and they shouldn't have it in Canada. Now, however, when we look at other restrictions that are going on in Canada, they're the same here in America. Now, what are those restrictions? Well, actually, it's not even the same, because now all businesses in Canada have to do this. While in the United States, larger businesses are good, small businesses, you have to. So otherwise, besides the point. So you have the option of either being, vaccinated, or you can take a test every day. That is for most businesses in Canada. And that's how it is in most areas in the United States as well. Now, I feel that this is not the issue to be talking about here, right? Because guess what? You don't have to be vaccinated. It's a soft mandate. You can just take tests, right? And they're free in Canada. I don't know about the United States, but
they're free in the United States too.
Perfect. There you go. And that makes it okay, because guess what? You're not being forced to do something. You're being forced to take a test. That's because you're worrying about someone else's safety. And in the same fact that if you were driving your car, you wear a seatbelt. Okay, you're looking out for other people and yourself. Well, actually, more over yourself. But you're driving with other people, you're going to tell them to wear their seatbelt as well, right? It's just a protective measure, but it's not forcing you to go inject fluids in the body. And that's the problem, right? Is that these protesters are missing the forest of the trees.
Well, see, I didn't know that until you explained earlier, and then now. That's kind of where they kind of lost me. I mean, personally, the chaos is pretty funny, especially when you're not the one experiencing it. I'm sure that even supporters of the Freedom Convoy are probably sick of the honking. So I
don't think so.
I've been seeing a lot of like memes and stuff about like phantom honks, like they're gone, but like you still hear the honking. It's really funny. But yeah, I mean, once I heard that you could just take a test, I think that's fairly reasonable. And especially since it's free, it's really not that big of a deal. You get the rapids, they give you a result in like 20 minutes. So it's really not that big of a deal. It's even better.
Get a 20-minute break before work. Wow,
yeah.
Epic.
Do you know like what restrictions are for like gyms and stuff in Canada? Like if you go to the gym before work, like do you have to be vaccinated? Do you have to show like some sort of test or something?
I'm pretty sure that mandate, the soft mandate, is for all businesses. So gyms
Okay.
would apply there. So all you need to do to go to a gym is take a test and show it to them, or show your vax card, either or.
Does New York do the same thing?
Not anymore. I think they actually just got. Well, actually, I think that was for mass. But I think you have to show proof of vaccination for restaurant. I'm not sure, but I know when I went to New York, which is relatively recently, I had to as well. And there was a big mask mandate, but I know the mask mandate got overturned in New York.
So it's actually more serious in New York, like the whole vaccine situation.
Yes, I'm almost. Yeah, I would even say it's more serious than the border, because in New York you have to do it everywhere. Like you have to show your vaccine card to go anywhere. You just have
That's
to
pretty wild.
make sure that you're vaccinated to go over the border in Canada, to go, with your truck.
So where do we see this Freedom Convoy going? Do you think it's just getting started, or it's kind of approaching its apex and maybe it's going to start declining soon?
It's just getting started. So Canada really started this after they put the vaccination on the truckers. Then farmers joined them on the convoy. And then the U.S. followed, and then I think this is probably going to be a worldwide thing. Until obviously a lot of the people are not happy about these mandates, and as you can see, these convoys are working by getting rid of these mandates by I think 2 provinces in Canada. I know Alberta is one of them. I don't remember the second. They've already said, these mandates are not working. We're not going to enforce them anymore. Even countries have already gone by Asia. They're also getting rid of their mandates, as well as and even in Europe too. So it's time to get rid of the mandates. I know today on Governor, getting a little off topic though, but Governor of New Jersey, Phil Murphy, announced that exactly a month from today, a month from today will be March 7th. So actually, it's kind of weird that on that day they're going to get rid of the masking in schools. And I kind of joked about it on Twitter because March 7th happens to be my birthday. So I said, "Oh, Phil Murphy, so you picked March 7th because it was my birthday, So where's the science in that?" So anyway, a lot of his decisions were not really based in science. So we're gonna have to get rid of these mandates. And obviously, like a lot of leaders are saying now, we just got to live with this virus. It's not going away.
That is, Anthony, I did hear about like Europe recently, and you're seeing that more now with European prime ministers and leaders and whatnot saying that, like, yeah, you're just gonna have to live with it. But what Asian countries specifically? I'm interested in knowing that, like, which countries canceled their restrictions or lessened them.
I don't remember the countries specifically. My apologies, but I do know some other countries in Europe and in Asia. I mean, obviously China obviously is not one of them, but we'll just have to see. Obviously we're going to see more and more countries get rid of their mandates.
Just to go back to what we were talking about before, where do you think this is going? So I already see similarities between what happened at Chaz and what happened or was happening here within the occupation. So the police, like they did in Chaz, were taking away a lot of the fuel they were using to continually occupy there with their generators and such. So they're doing that. They are also preventing people from honking. I don't know how you do that. But they basically what they're doing is trying to clear out the city of all these, occupiers, pretty much, because they've been literally living there in tents. Like there's been tent. The coolest thing is when I was checking this out before, there's a DJ in a tent, and he's got a whole bunch of protesters going around with signs like, "Oh yeah, boom, boom, boom." It was a party. So like, it definitely has Chaz vibes in the same sense. But here's the thing. Let's look at the protests in Canada versus America. So,
oh boy,
what happens in America, right? Let's say a Black Lives Matter protest, right?
Danny, you can't compare BLM to this convoy.
All right. Let's do a regular protest. You can do any protest. In America, protests are different than in Canada because Canadians are much nicer. So first off, when you're in America and there's a protest, you'll see a bunch of cops with APCs behind them, with everybody lined up with non-lethal weapons. or less than lethal weapons, rather. That's what they're called. They're basically a bunch of, grenade launchers. And they all got, riot shields ready to go, right? When it comes to that stuff. Now, we look at Canada. Usually, whenever I see this, all the cops are behind one line, and they don't let protesters go past said line, or they just enclose them. They have one cop in every squad, which is made of 10 people, with a non-lethal weapon. And whenever the protesters go and they don't clash with cops, they just go up to them and say, "You're dishonoring me. You're dishonoring me. You should be ashamed. Shame, shame." Right? And the cops don't respond. They don't do anything. They didn't even fire anything in Canada. So that's a difference in that in America, our police operate in a different fashion, wherein that they need to control our protests with more action. Well, Canada is a very different environment, which I just found unique, right? In that they're very different in their approaches, at least our police versus theirs, at least their authorities. So very interesting.
Yeah, well, like I've said in the beginning of the podcast, we mentioned the judge, you mentioned all that stuff. So I'll like kind of reiterate what I said. If any one, even a judge, like first of all, this judge obviously is a very political judge, so obviously got to get rid of that judge off the bench. But like I said before earlier in the podcast, if someone's telling me not to honk their horn, I gotta tell you, I tell them go fuck yourself. If you don't, again, and part of my language, typically I really don't like to curse on these or use slang on these podcasts, but I really only use it when it's necessary. I really deem now is necessary time because the judges are there to uphold the law. They're not there to they're not there to legislate from the bench. And I'm very highly against that.
I have a simple question for you, Anthony.
Sure, go ahead.
So if I was outside your house, okay?
Sure.
And I just went up and just for 10 days straight, just took my hand and just leaned on the horn the entire time, okay? And you went out to the cops, and let's say you're in New Jersey, or let's say you're in Montebello. I know this because my fraternity lived there. You can't, if any loud noises, you can't call the cops, and it's not illegal. So I could be outside your home going, "Bang!" like for 10 days, okay? Now, if that happened, would you like a judge to rule that I couldn't do that for a little bit so I could get tired of myself and go home? Right? Would you want that? Or would you want me to go?
When it comes to protesting, only if you're not on the person's property, then obviously it's legal. But if you are on the property, it's illegal.
So I
know my former boss. He a couple years ago, he had a violin player play in front of his house. I forget the reason, but man, like it's a protest if you're not on the person's property, but if you are, it's illegal.
No, I know. What I'm saying is, I'm just simply asking you. I don't care about legality. I'm just talking to you. Would you care if I was outside your house for 2 weeks laying on my horn? Would that bother you?
Of course, it would bother me.
Okay. So would you like?
Oh, by the way, for our viewers, this is what Danny does to me every single day. He lectures me about my views because he's always meetings I can't think for myself.
So would you like your local government to do something about that? Is what I'm asking you. Would you like your local government to do something about me laying on the horn for 2 weeks, annoying you?
Well, of course, because you become a disturbance.
Okay, as simple as that. So these people are living in apartment buildings in Ottawa. Have these people outside the street laying on their horns because they think we are in 1984 and we are going to die from our imperial government. And they are laying on their horns right outside the building. Now, one thing I want to point out, and I love this. So, GoFundMe, they had $10 million, I'm pretty sure, in donations.
Well, and then the GoFundMe took it down.
And then GoFundMe took it down. Now, what happened after that? Well, the city of Ottawa has now filed a class action lawsuit on all the protesters there for the tune of $10 million. So, and why are they doing that? Because now they are claiming the people that live in Ottawa, that they are being disturbed every single day from horns, from people going up to them and harassing them at the protests, right? They are laying, physical and emotional damage on this. And now they have, a decent amount of cause because, they even got a judge banning honking horns. Now, no $10 million. These people are going to have to pay out of pocket. I hope they don't want to get a little mad, but it's a class action lawsuit. Hasn't been fully filed yet. So, for the sake of, let's say, class solidarity,
fighting for your freedoms, you get sued.
For the
That's
sake of
ridiculous.
class solidarity, I hope they don't have to pay all that, because
They're probably not going to, because they're probably going to win.
I don't know. It's Canada. It's their courts. You know what I mean?
I know, true. It's their courts, not ours. But
Yeah.
I stand with the Freedom Convoy. So I hope they win. And and of course, if you're out in the Freedom Convoy, you're being violent. Not saying everyone is. But like Danny said, there are arsonists and like other violent people. I don't like that. I don't like that one bit.
So I have a question for you guys, and it just came up because of something that Danny said, and specifically like the literally 1984 comment. Do you guys think that Western culture has a degree to play in this? Because when you look at it, here in the West, we all pretty much have more comfortable lives than when you look elsewhere, right? And I just get this because a friend of mine sent a TikTok to me. It was like Middle Eastern Christians, and it had like the big buff Doge, and then it had like Western Christians, and it says no mask mandates. And then so what I'm trying to get at here is, do you think that Westerners have a lower threshold for this sort of stuff, whereas like people who are actually being persecuted in the East or just anywhere else in the world?
I've seen a lot of memes about how how soft that the people in the U.S. have become, and compare them to like obviously we don't want to be like countries like Afghanistan or Iraq or any other countries that hate us. Obviously, the United States is the greatest country to ever exist. But I mean, if you look at like the 1910s, people would probably see how soft we are compared to now. Saying how you have to wear a mask to get inside a store, or I can't go outside because I might get sick. I don't know, it really just goes to show how a lot how soft our society has gone. I'm not saying it's obviously it's everybody, but a lot of people are saying how you have to go to a store, have to go to somewhere else to go to. I think people just have to understand. People have to wake up and realize what's going on. That their freedoms are being trampled on.
Hey, Christian, so one thing I want to say about that, I'm glad you brought that up. I don't think it's necessarily Western culture that's bringing that, like the whole West. I'm not talking about like Mexico, Canada,
Yeah.
I'm talking about specifically American. I think it leaked out into the countries surrounding us, like Mexico and Canada, and that they have developed mare brain rot. Now, what is a mare brain rot? So we have had decades of a thing called manufacturing consent, where the news media works with our government and works with different, avenues or control sectors, military industrial complex, let's talk about pharmaceutical industry, any powerful institution within our country. They work with our news to go manufacture on consent on different issues. Let's talk about, Afghanistan war. Oh my God, nuclear guy over there, he's going to kill us all. How'd that turn out? Did they have nuclear weapons? No. So here's the thing. All those years of having the government, the news channels tell us every single thing has weakened our critical thinking as a nation, I would have to say, like fully on and said. And the introduction to the internet has only made it worse in the fact that people can now go on and type in, okay, I'm interested in learning about, let's say, vaccines. Should I vaccinate my child? And the top thing will say, epic news. It's okay to vaccinate your child. It's okay to vaccinate your child. I'm looking for an answer. That's not that. Go down. Oh, number 7. Vaccines will kill your babies. So here's the problem. in
That's
that
true.
you could say anything on the internet. You can say anything. And, it really isn't moderated unless you go to a main site like YouTube and blah, blah, blah. But, if Alex Jones can have his own site and talk about, water turning frogs gay, you could pretty much have anything on the internet. Okay. And that's the problem. It makes this issue of the lack of critical thinking worse, because now these people that already have a lessened ability to critically think and, try to make decisions based on rational thoughts. Now they go on the internet and they can go make up their own conclusions and go make up, great, little points to go pick from and go, find to, go and support their baseless conclusions. And it could be literally anything. Like the flat earther community, I guarantee you, has done nothing but go up in population because of this phenomena. And this is definitely seeped into, and I would say it probably even was developed in Canada as well, as the process of manufactured consent. And Canadians probably use that as well. The Canadian government probably uses that system as well. It's pretty, well established across any capitalist society has this kind of motive, because it's a profit motive that goes into this as well. And I would say, it definitely could happen in a communist society. Just I haven't seen any one of those.
Can happen anywhere.
So, what's the big point here? It's that the West is getting stupider and stupider and stupider because our government has found a way to lessen our ability to critically think. And that is just my point. And it's not really a Western
That's also
thing,
due
it's
in
more
part
of
because we're in
America.
information wars right now, and
The information wars
both
is
right
this.
and left sources are biased. Just like how the propaganda that you spew, Danny, is also sometimes incorrect. So, obviously, again, I mostly watch Fox. I know Tucker, Hannity, and Laura, they have their biases, but I know that majority of the time, like they say, they remain independent. So, I trust them.
So here's the problem.
So anyway, hold on, just let me finish. So it's like CNN's propaganda, because they have a toxic work environment. Their CEO just resigned. And there's been so many, like it's scandal after scandal after scandal. So why would anyone want to watch CNN right now? They're not trustworthy. They lied to you. They literally influenced a presidential election, and that's kind of the reason why we have the guy we have right now in the White House.
Just make this real quick. CNN, Fox News, doesn't know, OAN, MSNBC, any site, they all participate in the process of manufacturing consent, whether it be from the right or the left. But what they're trying to do, and they do whatever, they just take orders from the higher up, from the government. Oh, the security analyst that we just got to talk about Ukraine, that guy just said, Russia's going to invade. Oh my God. Here's the thing. This motive is not political. There's no bias between it. The motive to manufacture your consent is apolitical. Why? It's because the government just wants to control you. They want you to not think about certain things they do. So they'll go and pump out news stories, which, are like, oh my God, the green M&M, oh, she changed the heels, or, something like that. Or liberals will be like, oh my God, they did some epic thing where they made the Aunt Jemima not a black person. That's awesome. Oh my God. And it from the left or the right, they're talking about issues that don't matter. It doesn't matter. Who cares? I don't care about Aunt Jemima. I don't care about the green M&M. You know what I care about? I care about, oh my God, what just happened in Yemen? Oh, did we just airstrike 12 children by accident? That's what I care about. I care about what our government's doing, right? I care about what policies we have within our government, because it's a society. I don't care about stupid, signaling bullshit, AKA a lot of social issues within America. I mean, there's definitely grounds for certain social issues. I mean, the civil rights movement was definitely a huge thing that we needed to get done, because we did not have a great society before that, mostly because we were subjugating black people. But that's the thing, is that, nowadays, less about social issues. Let's fix the country we have now.
Our country's fucked right now. That's the main problem.
We gotta fix it though.
And when the U.S. is fucked, the whole world's fucked.
It's true.
I would just like to say that we are independent media.
We're not paid by anybody. No,
so we're like Sean Hannity. We're independent.
No, he's got a salary, bro. He's got a salary. We're not paid. No
We're not
funding.
funded. I mean, if at some point this podcast turns profitable, we will share our profits because
If this turns profitable, we're instantly going to MSNBC. We're gonna start beefing out the.
We're not funded by any
propaganda
dark
news.
money packs.
Yeah, that's great.
maybe we'll have Alex Jones on one day.
We probably could get him. We probably could.
And like, and to Danny's point, when we said before, look, I disagree with a lot of the things that Alex Jones says. I disagree with a lot of things that CNN says, and NBC and MSNBC. Obviously, they're all entitled to their opinions at the end of the day. Obviously, if you want to promote conspiracy theories on your channels, obviously, I guess it's okay. I mean, obviously, I don't like you when people purposely spread misinformation on purpose to their viewers so they can mislead their base. Again, well, both the left and the right are guilty of it, but obviously, it just comes down to finding the truth. And I think what me, Danny, Christian, and Sean, and wherever the hell he is, are trying to do, just trying to inform.
Sean's cooking his chicken cutlets right now. But yeah, I mean, we try here. Everyone has their own biases and their own.
These things are looking nice.
Let's see a little pic. Before we close out.
Dude, right now we're just starting to bread them up to get them onto the thing.
Okay, you know what? Then you send me a picture afterwards, and we'll post it somewhere so that
we'll share it on our Instagram page.
Exactly. All right, but we just about ran out of time today, so we'll see how this goes, and we'll see you guys all next week. All right, have a good one.
See you later, everybody.
See ya.